This is 45-year-old Michael Dunn, a man who frustratingly opened fire at 4 teenagers over one of the dumbest reasons that we have ever heard on this channel.
Yep. Sure did, buddy. You know, you defended yourself. Have a nice day. You know.
Well, let me be the first to tell you.
This ain't one of them.
Not one of them.
Unfortunately, this is not one of them.
It was a peaceful night on November 23rd in Jacksonville, Florida, when all of a sudden, there was not one but multiple 911 calls made about a shooting at the Gate Petroleum gas station.
Like pop, 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 pop. The person firing has left, but we did get a license number. The person in that was driving the vehicle was the one shooting out of the vehicle at somebody else, but we don't know what happened.
The callers reported multiple shots fired from a passenger sitting in one car. And while they all gave a similar description of the scene, one call stood out from the rest.
Somebody's been shot.
Where at?
The Gate gas station on Big Meadows Road in Southside.
Who shot him?
We have no idea. Please, can you bring help, please, now?
There's an ambulance on the way. You don't know who shot him?
No, ma'am.
Where's the person that got shot?
He's in the car right now.
What kind of car?
It's a red Durango.
This caller was Tavon Thompson, one of the teens who was in the SUV which got shot. He was in the car with 4 friends, among which was 17-year-old Jordan Davis. Davis was shot 3 times in the legs, the lungs, and the aorta, and pronounced dead just minutes after the incident. When the detectives observed the red SUV, it was riddled with bullet holes. Here, we can see the orange lines representing the trajectory of 6 shots into the car. I guess you could say, fortunately, out of the 4 occupants of the SUV, only 1 was killed because they sped out of the gas station. The license plate from the 911 caller led to a black Volkswagen owned by 45-year-old Michael Dunn, who was arrested the next day in his home in Brevard County. He was brought in for interrogation to make sense of what had happened, but by this point, the detectives had been given pretty lengthy details from the survivors.
Obviously, I just kind of want to talk to you about what occurred last night up in Jacksonville. But I'd like to kind of back up to, when did you come to Jacksonville?
Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving Day. Okay. And what was the reason you came to Jacksonville?
My son was getting married on Friday.
Oh, okay. He was getting married on Friday.
Yeah, and we have a small dog that we were going to travel with,
Mm-hmm.
and the check-in time was right around the time of the wedding on Friday, so we thought we'd go up early
Mm-hmm.
on Thursday just to be there already.
Okay. What time was so you came up Thursday. Where were y'all staying?
We were staying at the Sheraton.
Okay. Do you remember where?
Deerfield, but I'm
Sheridan off Deerfield?
Yes.
Okay. Friday, just, what time was the wedding at?
4.
4? Okay. So during the day, you're just getting prepped up for that, getting ready for that. Where's the wedding at?
Is there Orange Park? Is that someplace close by?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Orange Park. And an old house,
An old house.
70s house, right on the
On the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice ceremony.
Okay. About how long do you stay there?
I don't know, but we were on our way back to the hotel when we stopped at that store.
Okay.
This explains why he was there in the first place. It was his son's wedding. A joyous occasion, no doubt, but on the way back, they stopped at a store. This store was located at the Gate Petroleum gas station, which means that they hadn't stopped for gas. They had stopped to purchase a bottle of wine. His fiancée, Rhonda Ruhr, was with him throughout the ordeal.
So just kind of walk me through, just tell me from your point of view, what you guys pull up. You're driving, it's your car, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're driving?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's a Volkswagen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's sitting in the passenger seat, no one else in the car with you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just kind of walk me through kind of what happened at that point.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say this, but got out. She's in the store, and there's like a SUV next to us, and then the music starts,
Mm-hmm.
and I roll down my window, and I thought I was polite. I asked them nicely. I didn't demand. I didn't, or else I said, "Hey, would you guys mind turning that down?" And they shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Thank you."
Mm-hmm.
Cordial.
Right.
Everything's cordial. I put my window back up. I'm doing my stuff, and I don't know how many kids are in that, but the windows are down for the back seat. The windows are up for the front seat.
Okay.
And the guy that was in the back is getting really agitated. And my window's up. I can't hear everything he's saying, but, you know, there's a lot of fuck him and fuck that and fuck that bitch. And then the music comes back on. And, you know, I'm just like, live and let live. And I'm, you know, don't need any trouble. And I don't know if they're singing or what, but it's like they're saying, kill him. So I put my window down again, and I said, excuse me, are you talking about me? And it was like, kill that bitch. And you know, I'm still not reacting, but then this guy like goes down on the ground and comes up with something. I thought it was a shotgun, and he goes, "You're dead, bitch!" And he opens his door, and I'm shitting bricks. But that's when I reached in my glove box, unholstered my pistol. I mean, I practiced this. I'm at the Fort Malabar rifle and pistol range. I'm an avid, you know, gun guy and all that. No military training or anything, but I have friends who are in the military that show me the
proper way.
Yes, and so quicker in the flash, I had a round chambered in it, and I shot.
Okay. Do you remember how many times you shot?
4.
Okay. Okay, just keep walking me through kind of what you remember.
I shot 4 times, and that SUV pulled out, and like I said, in my mind, they got a gun. And so, you know, not training, just from, I was still scared. And so I shot 4 more times as they were fleeing. Yeah, trying to keep their heads down to not catch any return fire.
Okay. All right. And then
and that was it. I mean, I still didn't feel safe. I thought, you know, there was another car. I didn't know. I mean, I'm in a strange town, in a strange area. I just had my life threatened. The love of my life is in the store. And she doesn't know what's going on. She come outside to see what was up. And I was just like, get in the car. We have to go. I just didn't feel safe there. In fact, we had plans, in fact, a fairly expensive bed and breakfast paid for in St. Augustine. And, you know, after what happened last night, and we're like, we have to go home and call the local sheriff and tell them what's up.
Well, where'd you go after when
we
you
went
left?
right to our room.
You went right to the hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't leave. We were just like
in the hotel room?
bricks waiting for another carload of thugs to come. I mean, I'd never been so scared in my life for somebody to be, you know, I thought they were singing, like, you're going to die, bitch. I thought that, you know, and then it's getting a little louder. That's when I put my window down. I was like, you talking about me? And that's just like, you're dead. You're dead, bitch.
Okay.
So I went over this a million times, and what I should have done is put the car in reverse. But a shotgun come up or whatever, it was fight or flight. I don't think there was any time for flight at that moment. I was going to get shot.
Okay.
Throughout this interrogation, we're going to take his points and then put them against the evidence. As of right now, he's claiming 3 things. 1, they were either singing or saying that, quote, "you're dead, bit." 2, the person in the back had a shotgun. Most likely he's talking about Davis. And 3, that he was getting out of the car with the shotgun ready to kill him. Throughout this scene, his fiancée was inside the store and missed the entire interaction. Dressed in black, here, she was about to finish her purchase of wine and a bag of chips when the gunshots began.
Somebody's shooting. Somebody's shooting
He's shooting. Right here, in front of us. Call the cops. The cops are right across the street. Oh my God.
But we'll get to her description of events later. If you're a true crime fan who wants more and values the work that we put into every episode, well, then consider joining our Patreon. For just a few bucks a month, you get ad-free videos, access to our private Discord, and exclusive content like behind-the-scenes photos, wallpapers, and Patreon-only episodes. At higher tiers, you'll get a shout-out in our videos. And if you stick around, you could even be turned into a custom 3D detective and appear in an episode. Your support helps us keep creating in-depth, high-quality true crime stories. Join us on Patreon and be part of the investigation. Right now, let's focus on Michael Dunn's side of the story and how he, quote-unquote, acted in self-defense.
So they pull out, as you said, you shoot to kind of keep their heads down as they're pulling it. Is that kind of your intention?
They have a shotgun aimed at me, and
okay.
I don't want them shooting it.
Okay. And then gets in the car, you guys leave and drive and go back to the hotel room. Okay. And you guys just stayed in the hotel room at that point? Did you go anywhere else?
No, we ordered out. We got pizza.
Pizza. And what time did you check out this morning?
8, I think. When you called early
mm-hmm.
this morning, we had just got home,
mm-hmm.
and I unpacked our few bags,
mm-hmm.
and our neighbor just down the way is a real good friend of ours, and he's in the government in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's in law enforcement. I don't know which branch.
Right.
But we were going to go, talk to him and,
mm-hmm.
and like, do you know anybody in the sheriff's department that we could talk to? Because, I didn't want it to happen the way it did. The way it did is sheriff came with AR-15s, and so I was trying to avoid that.
No.
And, I was like, I give up. But that's where you called
mm-hmm.
when I was out the door to go.
Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know at the time they had actually they were actually responding before I even got on the phone to them. So when you and I were talking, unbeknownst to me, they were already alerted to your presence there. So.
Well, maybe my neighbor. Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I stole me.
Right. That's why I said I was being honest with you when I said I'll give you 5 minutes to kind of, like you said I'll be out the door in 5 minutes. I said okay. The gun, is it your gun?
Yes, it's a gun I've had since like 1990.
Okay, what kind is it?
It's a Taurus, 1892.
Okay, you know what caliber?
9mm.
9mm. Do you normally keep it in your glove box?
Always.
Always in your glove box. And you said you kept it holstered?
Yeah, it's a holster that's for inside the waistband,
mm-hmm.
but I'm a little heavy. I used to carry it, but I'm too heavy.
So now you just keep it in the glove box?
In the glove box.
Okay. Where is that gun now?
It's in my glove box.
It's still in the glove box. Okay. In your car. And your car is at your residence currently, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many, do you normally keep it fully loaded? Okay, you keep it fully loaded but not chambered. You had to chamber it?
I don't. My military friends think I'm an idiot, but I just don't.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. You normally don't keep it chambered. You knew you'd have to rack one to put one in the chamber. Okay.
Yes, it's a practice.
Right.
Maneuver.
Right. Well. No, I know. I'm aware. I know.
This is the first of many confusing points of the story. This shooting happened on the night of November 23rd, yet he did not report it to anyone. He went back to his hotel room, slept, went back home the next morning, and it was only after the police came knocking on his door that he gave the info up. He claimed that he was going to call his local sheriff to tell him what happened, but he never did. If anything, his narrative was completely different from the get-go.
I asked him, what happened?
Right.
That's what I said. I said, what happened? And he said, I shot at the car. And I'm like, we're moving at this time.
Right.
And I said, what car? And he said, the one with the music. And I said, why? And he said, because they threatened to kill me. And I'm like, I don't understand, Michael. And he just said that he asked them nicely to turn down their music. One of them in the car turned it down. Then somebody in the car said, we don't have to turn our music down for that asshole, or, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't remember the cuss words that were used.
No, I know that. You can do the best of your knowledge.
Okay. But and then Michael said, are you talking to me? And he said, and then they threatened they threatened to kill me. They said they were cussing at him. They were exchanging cusses, and
then Michael said he was cussing back at him when you said exchanging cussing. So they're cussing back and forth, is what he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of F words were being thrown around.
Back and forth.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Michael said, and then they threatened to kill me, and I don't remember the exact words that he used, but it was like that they started. And I'm saying they,
right?
And I don't know if it was they or him.
But that's just how. Okay, that's how he expressed it to you.
Yes, he said they started to advance, and I reacted.
Okay, they started to advance, and I reacted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we talked to you the last time, I know you mentioned that he made comment that they said they were going to kick his ass. Is that inaccurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kick his ass. He was afraid that they were going to advance on him, I think was the term used. Does that sound?
Yes.
Okay. So all that.
Right.
Okay.
All that.
But they're F-bombing him, he's F-bombing them right back.
Exactly.
Okay. Is that normal for him to, I mean, when he get into a verbal shouting match with him?
I have never, ever seen him exchange. And he is a very passionate guy in stuff that he believes in.
Right.
You get into politics, oh jeez.
Yeah.
But I've never seen him lose his cool. Never seen him lose his cool. Much less lose it to that extent.
Okay. Did you see him? What was his demeanor driving back? I mean, obviously he's been involved in a shooting.
Right.
Is he amped up? Is he, what's his demeanor like?
He was very amped up. I don't know, but you could tell he was nervous.
Was he shaking?
Yeah, he was shaking.
Adrenaline dump.
Exactly.
Okay.
It was more of an adrenaline kind of thing going on.
Right. Okay. I mean, it was just physiologically normal.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And then I asked him. I said, "Did you hurt anyone?" And he said, "No, I just shot at the car." And in my head, should I be telling you what I was thinking?
Yeah, I think you've already told us.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, just tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in my head I'm thinking, you stupid ass,
Right.
what were you thinking? Why, would you do this? But I could see that he was already upset, and I didn't want to add to that.
Right.
So I kept those thoughts to myself, and I figured I'd just tell him in the morning.
Okay.
And
is this all in the car?
Yes.
Okay, this is all in the car.
And then by then we were back at the hotel.
Okay.
Although her memory is a bit fuzzy, she never mentioned the shotgun. She did claim that he told her that they were threatening to kill him, so he shot at the car. But Dunn kept some facts out of the story, like the fact that he shot multiple times in self-defense. But as we gather these points of self-defense, we're also going to watch them fail badly.
I know you're in a strange town, and you have this traumatic event happen to you, and I can understand that. Okay. The problem, I can tell you, where we start to kind of get a little wondering is by the time you say you get to your hotel room, you're calling to order pizza. Why aren't you calling us?
I wanted to come back to my hometown to do that, and our dog and everybody were where they needed to be. I didn't want to bring a shitstorm down on them in Jacksonville.
Okay. Well, I mean, it wouldn't, they haven't, I mean, they're not anything to be worried about. She hasn't.
True.
It's not like, she's there.
Yeah.
There's nothing she did wrong.
I was, I shouldn't even left the scene, but I left the scene because I was still afraid for.
Okay, and I can live with that. Okay, I can live with that. You don't necessarily want to hang around right where the shooting happened because you don't know if these guys are coming back. I'm good with that.
Or if there are more.
But once you leave and you are away from that scene, and you've even gotten to a hotel room and inside your hotel room at that point. Now makes me wonder, because if you make a phone call, one, we find out, a lot quicker what's going on. Okay. The reason he and I haven't been to sleep since sometime yesterday is because we're trying to figure out, all we know is we got a dead kid in a car, okay, and we got a guy who shot and hauled ass. That's all we know. You see what I'm saying?
I do, and it's me too. To call you guys last night, and I was insistent on waiting until we got around people we knew.
Okay. I mean, I'm just, that's where we start to get a little concerned. It starts to be, we can speak that I personally have had a case with an individual who was moving to Jacksonville, first day in Jacksonville, and got involved in an incident and felt threatened and shot another person and was in their car. And he drove across the street to another parking lot and got on the phone with 911 immediately and started walking police into where he was.
Perhaps his self-defense claim could have had some genuineness to it if he were the first to call. If it hadn't been for the 911 caller who had noted the license plate, he would have just disappeared into thin air, since there was no camera directly over the shooting. But this is just the beginning of his self-defense case failing, and failing badly. This next part will absolutely destroy his case.
That's the way
I have nothing to say other than
So other problems that we have too. When you began to shoot, can you honestly tell us that you ever saw a gun inside that vehicle?
I saw a barrel come up on the window, like a single shot shotgun where there's a barrel. I didn't see this part of the barrel. I saw that part of the barrel, and it was either a barrel or a stick. But sir, they're like, we're gonna kill you, and then they say, you're dead, bitch. I mean, I didn't wait to look to see if they were going to point it at me. He reached down and picked it up. And then,
who reached down and picked it up?
Well, hopefully it's the guy that I hit. Though it was.
Where was he sitting?
He was sitting in the rear passenger side.
Okay.
And that's the guy that was really agitated. And then that's the guy that I asked, are you talking about you're going to kill me? Like I said, I didn't know what, my window is up. He was saying a lot, but that's what came through. And I put my window down to ask him.
And the music is still playing at this time?
Yes, but he is really loud and really animated.
Louder than the music that's bothering you?
Yes, well, the music was a nuisance at first. With my car shut and the windows up, and you just hear the heavy bass. And like I said, I just said, hey, would you mind turning it down? And they did. They shut it off, which, I said, thanks. But it really wasn't an issue of loud music. It was an issue of them threatening my life.
But it started from you.
Absolutely, and that's when I started telling you guys.
Was playing when you pulled up?
No, it was not.
It was not?
No, it wasn't. And got out of the car, and she'd been gone for a little bit. She wasn't in the store very long.
I say she's not in there very long.
Like we said, there's some issues that we have. I'll be the first to tell you there's no weapons in that car. I don't know what you saw.
That's possible. When they drove off, they dumped it.
They never left the parking lot.
Yeah, they drove out, circled right back around, and came right back to that spot.
Oh, okay, because
they circled around until they saw you leave, and then they drove right back because they saw you leave at that point.
So you leave, and they realized their friend had been hit. So they never left the parking lot.
They came right back at that point.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
There was no gun in the car. So after you take this point out of the picture, this looks like a verbal confrontation gone wrong. Even if they were threatening him, this was one 45-year-old with a gun versus 4 teenagers. He was in no position to feel threatened unless they were actually about to attack him. Right now, his only scapegoat is point 3, but with a little change. He was getting out of the car to attack him with his bare hands. But even so, this is an incredibly weak reason to shoot at a car multiple times. Now, check out this next part.
What actually happened? I know that from your position right now that you're going to do everything to protect yourself. And I can't say that I blame you for that. But we're going to need the total truth as to what happened. Not this story that I've had from 7:30 last night till 12 o'clock today to fix up. Okay, because the only thing that's going to make sense to us is the truth matching the scene. And there was the biggest problem we got, the first hurdle we got to get over is that there's no weapon in that truck.
Do you have a stick? Because he stuck something up.
I'll double check it. I don't recall seeing anything like that, really. But I'll double check it. I'll look again. But we, obviously our main thing is when we're going through, we're looking for any kind of weapons, any kind of evidence of a weapon, shell casing, bullets.
The second problem we have is that the last set of rounds when the truck is backing away from you, he put 4 more steps in it, 4 more shots into it. That's an issue. Because now if it's backing away, it's no longer a threat.
Yes, sir. I understand that. In my mind, they had a weapon.
Okay. I can't shoot someone because in my mind they had a weapon. Okay. That's the problem. I mean, if I walked up to someone right now and I'm having a confrontation with them and I think they have a weapon, the law doesn't allow me to shoot him because I think he has a weapon. I think you would have a hard time arguing with your statute versus any one of them that they could get out and beat you up.
Oh, there's 4 of them.
Even the 4 of them. I think you would have a hard time arguing that the 4 of them could have done anything to you.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. How were you, when you pulled your gun out, say you're sitting in your driver's seat like that straight ahead, how did you shoot? Did you shoot one-handed? Shoot two-handed?
Two-handed like that.
Two-handed like this? You come across your body? Okay. And you shoot the first, you said 4 shots is what you remember. And then they start backing out. Do you continue to shoot through the window, or do you reposition?
I don't recall, but I do remember getting out of my car and taking, getting sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, waiting for the wink or...
But once again...
all this is...
Okay. Once again, if you think they have something, think they have a shotgun.
They have a shotgun.
You think they have a shotgun. Are you going to get out of your car so they can get a good aim on you? Make any sense?
Well, at the time, I was doing everything on adrenaline and no...
But I'm just saying, we're trained to, if we think something is there, to get out of the way.
To get out of the way.
Cover or concealment. So you're telling me that you thought they had a shotgun, but you got out of your car so they would get a good aim at you, is what you're telling me.
Well, I thought maybe they would shoot at the car and I wouldn't be in it.
But your car's not shooting at them. You are. Why would they shoot at your car?
They can't. Honestly, sir, I'm at a loss to justify what I did on the second volley,
right, other
than to say I thought they were going to be shooting back, and I was keeping them from doing that. And I was in such a panic. Fear for my life, for the love of my life. That I didn't,
fear for the love of your life. What have they done?
Well, had they been out of their truck doing whatever to me when she came out, they would have. I just assumed.
Once again, we're acting off assumptions.
Because they weren't out of their truck.
They were not out of their truck.
The guy was coming out of his truck.
Yeah, the driver had gone in the store.
No, the guy that I was talking to, the one that I shot, he was coming out of his truck. So that's when he said, "You're dead, bitch," and opened the door.
Okay. Is that at that point where you shot?
That's the point where I went and grabbed my gun.
Okay.
Because I did, everything's fine. They're just talking, and then all of a sudden...
So you get the gun, rack it, and then reassess?
No, I didn't reassess.
So you went, grabbed gun, rack, came up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you see him start to come out of the door of the truck. At that point, you turn to get your gun. Is that correct? You take it out of your glove box. You unholster it. You rack around, and you come back up on target.
Yes, sir. Fluid motion.
Okay. In the amount of time he's starting to get out of the truck when you first start to go get your, but yet by the time you come back and start shooting, he's still in the truck.
He's coming out. I think he saw what I was doing when I was running back in. I don't know. But
see, that's where I'm a little thrown off here. Okay, because he is sitting in the back seat of that truck when he is hit. Okay, because the bullet goes right through the door. 3 bullets went through that door. Okay, he wasn't hit standing outside the truck.
Oh no, I know I shot through the door.
Okay, so
driving him back.
How's he getting out of the door if you're shooting through it? You're confusing us.
All right. When the latch is coming off the door, that's when I went to do what I was doing with the gun. And when I came back, I'm firing.
When the latch is coming off the door?
No, when I got my gun out of the...
When you said earlier about that, when you see the latch, what do you mean by the latch coming?
Well, the door's opening and he's stepping out.
Okay, and he's stepping out.
Yes, and then
And you go and reach, but by the time you come back and come up just blazing, somehow he's still sitting in the truck.
Well, maybe I'm not as fast with the whole thing as I think I am, but it was...
Or maybe he wasn't getting out of the truck.
No, absolutely he was.
Here's the other problem we have.
He absolutely wasn't. If we go back to the pictures of the red SUV with the bullet trajectories, we can see that they're all straight shots. This indicates that Davis never left the car. Otherwise, the shots would have been angled. This destroys point number 3 of Davis ever getting out of the car. So now that we're left with the unfiltered truth based on evidence, Dunn shot at the car after his dispute over the loud music. But of course, Dunn is going to change his story multiple times and is going to keep trying to convince the detectives that there was some intent to kill by the teenagers.
The guy in the front seat, the front passenger seat, he sees you.
He has a perfect view of the whole thing.
Right.
His window's up.
He sees you getting the gun. So why would he let his friend get out of the truck when he sees you getting the gun?
Pardon?
Why would he allow the victim to be getting out of the truck when he already...
I have no idea. I mean, I think the guy in the front was the reason.
You also know that it was 7:30, 7:45 p.m. and the Gates gas station has several customers in the parking lot and everywhere. And we've interviewed several people. This is the very first time that anyone has told us about anyone getting out of a truck.
And here's where I would have a question too is, you're saying you feel like you have a threat that this guy's got a shotgun in your view. Okay, so you think he's getting out of the car. Okay, so you turn to get yours. If he's unarmed, which he is, why is he going to be?
I don't know. Maybe
now
I'm unarmed. The sad fact of it is he's telling me he's going to kill me. You're dead, bitch.
Because you asked him to turn the radio down?
See, that's the part where I don't understand.
And you know what? And I'll tell you,
they were getting really agitated.
I understand it because believe me, we deal with guys who you ask him to turn the radio down, they would get out of the car and shoot you. We deal with those kind of dudes all the time.
Here's what I can almost bet you a year of my salary on. When you got into a confrontation with those guys, a man of your stature, if there was a gun in that truck, they would have shot you. They wouldn't have had to get out. They would have shot right through. They would have shot from the truck just like you were shooting from your car.
Because you guys are, I mean, you're directly next to
They
each
have
other.
the beam on you. The truck is actually higher than your car.
I'm in front with the front passenger.
And we can tell you another thing from working murders in Jacksonville. People don't get out of the car to be seen when they're shooting someone. They're going to shoot you right side of the truck.
All right. He's getting out of his car. We're this close to each other. He was getting out of his car after repeatedly telling me that he was going to kill me. So, is he going to bite my ear off or shoot me with a shotgun? I wasn't too concerned about how he intended to do it.
Now, and I'll tell you this. We talked to the other guys in the car, and they will all admit, they will all tell us, that was his name, said, yep, didn't like the fact he told him to turn the music down. He wasn't happy about that. He didn't like the fact that some stranger's telling him to turn his music down. He's 17. He's a teenager. Okay, you know what teenagers are. They're a little hard-headed sometimes, especially when they're out on their own. And did he throw some F-bombs at you? Basically tell you to go fuck yourself multiple times? Absolutely. They said, yep, he was jaw-jacking back and forth with that guy. But at no time did any of them say, well, okay, he did say he was going to kill him. Because it makes no sense, because what's he going to do? He's not armed. What's he going to, I'm going to kill you and get out of a car. And we're talking about a kid. You know how many times that kid's been to jail? Never. He has no history of violence, and it's not like we're getting some street
thug. This kid has is a truancy in school.
We're not talking about a violent kid here. He has no track record. There are guys in Jacksonville who I'd go, okay, I believe that, because they got track records. This kid ain't got no track record. The kid sitting next to him doesn't have a track record. The kid sitting in front of him doesn't have a track record. None of them do. The driver's got a little bit. Stole a car when he was younger. That's it. These aren't violent guys. They pull up so the driver can run in and buy cigarettes. It's the only reason they're even there. They just got back from going to the mall. That's it. So I have a hard time buying how I can totally see him talking shit to you. I can see that. But to take it to a level that he's threatening to end your life when he can't. There's no way he can. He doesn't have anything.
I didn't know that.
This shouldn't even be relevant, but just to add insult to injury, none of the passengers in the car had a history of violence. They were just a couple of teenagers about to go to the mall and hang out when some white man found their music loud and offensive. Interestingly, he expressed this frustration to his fiancée just before she got out of the car and went into the store. Interestingly, she had tried to get Dunn to contact the police, but he was just not ready to confess.
And I start getting dressed, and the news is on. And that's when...
Did you intentionally turn it on, or it just happened to be on?
Yeah,
okay.
I think the TV was on all night.
Okay.
It's not uncommon that we fall asleep with the television.
Okay.
So that's when I see the news report, and I see the red SUV. Now, mind you, I had no idea what kind of vehicle they were in, but I knew it was red. And so I see the red SUV being towed, and all I hear are shooting, convenience store, loud music, and then I don't know if they said a person was dead or just one dead, and I said, Mike. And I turned around, and he was standing in the doorway of the bathroom, and he said, yes, I saw. And and then I said, we need to go home, because because right now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be arrested too, because I left the scene of a crime.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, we need to get home. We need to get Charlie settled, and then we can go and we can talk to Sebastian, or the Satellite Beach police. I said, but we need to go. We need to get Charlie taken care of.
Okay.
And so we packed up and we came home.
Okay, so you get in the car and drive home.
Yes.
Do you stop at all coming home?
No.
Okay, so you drive straight to the house.
Straight
okay.
to the house.
What's kind of how does that all play out?
He just kept telling me that he loved me.
The whole drive down?
Yeah.
Were you guys really talking about it at all?
No, we were listening to the radio, and then he would, turn it down and just say, I love you, and I know, okay. But I'm dumbfounded.
Right. It's okay. Take your time. Take a minute.
And it was just a horrible trip home.
Right.
And so no, I didn't want to hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just get us home.
Right.
Get us home.
Okay. So you get home,
Mm-hmm.
Pull the car in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are going inside.
I take Charlie out of his crate because
Mm-hmm.
he's in his crate in the back seat,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go take him outside to go potty,
Mm-hmm.
and Mike brings the crate in. And then when I walked back in the house is when I got the call from you.
Okay, or he answered.
He answered because my phone rang,
Uh-huh.
and I looked at it, and I said, it's a 904 area code, and
Okay.
he said, oh, maybe it's, so I handed the phone to him,
Uh-huh. And it was me on the other line.
and it was you, because I heard Jacksonville detective,
Right.
and then we don't get good cell reception in the house,
Okay.
so Michael walked out back.
So you get cell service.
Yeah.
Okay. And after the conversation, he gets done with the conversation, what does he come back and say to you?
Well, I heard him tell you that he would rather bring himself in,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he'll be out the door in 5 minutes. And we have a neighbor, his name is,
Okay.
and him and Mike are really good friends. So Michael said, I'm going to talk to you to see what's the best way to go about this.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, listening to you would have been the best way, but we've already made so many mistakes.
Okay.
So he goes over and he's talking to, and I'm in the house like pacing. You need to get your butt going,
Right.
So that's what I said. I went over there and I said, Mike, you need to get going. And then I was on the phone with the local police department, the
Okay.
sheriff's department.
Okay.
And then somebody called from the sheriff's department, called my cell phone again, asking for Michael. And Michael said, I'll be right out. They told him to come out with his shirt off.
Okay. Okay, they told him to come out with his shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Obviously, she had no involvement in this case, but from her side, we see that Dunn was trying to be as evasive as possible. Interestingly, the news report even mentioned that the shooting occurred due to a dispute over loud music. And that's when Dunn knew that the police were after him, and that there is no chance that he's avoiding a murder charge. But for some reason, this reality is not quite dawning on him as he continues to fight his loose-ended case.
Sitting here telling you guys I was in fear for my life. I honestly was. I have so much going on in my personal life. The last thing I want to do is be in trouble. I don't want to cause you guys a sleepless night. I don't want to lose my freedom.
This is what we do. Don't worry about that. This is what we do.
Well, I mean, the last thing I'm looking for is trouble. The last thing. I mean,
You don't think
I have
it's like
one-
asking someone to turn their music down in a public place?
absolutely, that was stupid of me. Around here, I don't think
If you do process and elimination, had you not done that, then we wouldn't be here today, right? Just young kids
Absolutely.
running around.
Absolutely.
Do you think you overreacted?
Well, I think I got the shit scared out of me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and if we want to say because somebody's dead, hell yes, that was.
Well, no, not even somebody who's dead. Let's say nobody even gets hit. Do you think you overreacted? What if you just hit the car a bunch of times and they drove off with a bunch of bullet holes in their car?
Sir, from where I was sitting, a shotgun was coming up at me, and so I don't want to sound like an asshole, but if it happened again tomorrow, where a shotgun was coming up, I think I would do the same. I hope I would
And you know what,
not be
Mr.
afraid
Dunn?
to do the same.
If there was a shotgun coming up at you, we would expect you to do what you did. The problem that we have is that there is no shotgun. That's the bridge that we got to get across. You keep dwelling on the shotgun as if there was one at the scene. If there was a shotgun, a BB gun, any type of gun at the scene. Hell, if it was a water gun that was black, that looked real at the scene.
Like I said, it was a barrel. Could have been just a stick, but I mean, it was.
Could it have been your imagination?
It's certain. Well, no. I mean, anything's possible, I guess, but him coming out of his car was not my imagination.
Okay.
And it was right after I saw that he started coming out of his car and saying, "You're dead, bitch."
When you went and grabbed your gun, racked it, and came back around, what were you shooting at? Did you acquire a target or did you just start shooting?
I shot at the door.
Which door? Which door?
The rear passenger.
You shot at his door?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the purpose of that?
Saved my life?
From the door?
No, he was coming out of his door, and then I guess he went back in it, but that's where he was.
I just said, hypothetically, you and him exchange words. He opened the door to go in the store to use the bathroom.
He wouldn't have said, "You're dead, bitch," and then...
I'm just saying.
Well, then I guess I would be in trouble if that was the case. But that's not what happened.
And
yes, sir.
She's in the store the whole time.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So she's not privy to any of this. She doesn't see
she,
any of this.
She is livid.
She basically stands at the counter, and all of a sudden she starts hearing gunshots. Okay.
So many gunshots, and she leaves the wine on the counter.
Yeah, paid for it, and left the wine and chips. Didn't even take it with her. Because at that point, and is going out the door, going something, basically calling your name.
She said that the first volley they heard, and then when I got out of the car, they said, "Oh, it's the guy in the black car," and she thought it was me, and you know, she told me this later. She goes, "I was telling them it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I know that
it's
guy.
not a. You guys are safe."
Mm-hmm.
What guys were safe? Definitely when the guys in the truck.
Well, the people inside the store.
Let me,
I feel really bad about the boys in the truck. You guys, I really do. If I could,
and let me, I'll let you in just from doing our investigation. We are so lucky. Really, there should be 3 of those 4 should have been hit. 3 of those 4. You could have 3 dead guys right now. Okay. Luckily for the guy in the front seat, his door stopped the bullets. They entered the door, but they didn't go all the way in because the front door's got bullet holes in it. Okay. And there's another one you shot when you were doing the suppression fire, basically, to keep their heads down as they're driving away. You put one in the back of the car. There's several shots directly into the rear of the truck. And one of them comes zinging in through the back and goes right up and hits the sun visor where the driver is as he's driving out. Didn't miss his noggin by much. Yeah, so we could very easily have 3 victims at this point. Luckily, those guys didn't get hit or any way, shape, but they're all fine, except for the poor guy who's pretty much was dead right there. It didn't take him long. He was gone. It's, you know, I'm just letting you know, we're just, and like I said, we see a lot of scenarios, and we deal with threatening situations. I mean, it's not, you know, we deal with them all the time where somebody defends themselves. I mean, we do. And there are clear-cut cases where you go, yep, sure did, buddy. You know, you defended yourself. Have a nice day. You know.
Well, let me be the first to tell you.
This ain't one of them.
Not one of them.
Unfortunately, this is not one of them. Okay, because unfortunately, we have between the witnesses and we even, yeah, they're friends of the guy in there, but they've got their perception of what's going on. But there's other people there who fill in blanks for us, who are independent. And we haven't had anybody even hint to us that one was getting out of the car, two, that anybody heard any actual physical threats to anybody. There are some F-bombs getting dropped.
Kill that motherfucker? I mean, did they concentrate on the F-bomb and miss out on the verb?
I'm just telling you what people tell us. We ask them, what did you hear? Because I show up at a scene and I don't know anything about what happened. We just start going, what did you see? What did you hear? Mm-hmm. What did you see? What did you hear? Because you might hear something different. You might hear something different, see something different. You know, everybody sees things through their own little, and believe me, we've done this long enough that other witnesses see things, can see the same thing, and totally get it wrong. You know, two different stories when you get it from them. That's why we try to talk to everybody else.
Sure.
After this interrogation, Dunn was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of firing into an occupied vehicle. But in this case, there is one angle that we haven't explored yet. Obviously, his weak excuse is enough to put him away for good, but what if it wasn't fear that compelled him to shoot? What if his fear was driven by racism? On FloridaJustice.com, you can find his letters that were written to his fiancée, his grandma, his daughter, and some anonymous ones. In his letter to his grandmother from May 2013, he explicitly writes that the, quote, blacks seem to be calling the shots. And, quoting again, the whites who live in Jacksonville know how the blacks behave here. He even went so far as to call Ron Davis, Jordan's father, quote, the daddy of the thug. Well, despite his racist remarks and countless appeals, Dunn was found guilty on all counts on October 1st, 2014.